Good night to the viewers there in Grand Turk, the nation capital of the Turks and Caicos Islands, in South Caicos, North Caicos, Middle Caicos, and indeed in Providenciales. Let me also take this time to welcome our viewers in the Bahamas, in Cayman Islands, in the US of A, in London, in Canada, and indeed in the rest of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I am pleased to have as my guest. She served as a former member of the House of Parliament here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. She's indeed an attorney at law. She also serves as the first vice chairman of the People's Democratic Movement. Ladies and gentlemen, she is no stranger to the people here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Tonight I'm proud to introduce to you globally, Ms. Charlene Cartwright Robinson. Good night, Charlene.
Good
Welcome
evening.
to Let's Talk Politics.
Thank you, Sean. It's a pleasure to be here.
Will, would you like to greet our global viewers tonight?
Yes, I'm listening to your introduction and I'm saying, wow, we're on the World Wide Web. So welcome. I'm glad to be in all of your living room, your offices, or wherever you are, in whatever part of the world, because more than likely that's how I'll get many of these countries anyway.
Well, Charlene, we have so much to talk about here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. There is so much going on around us. As I said, tonight is February the 26th, 2008. For our viewers out there, we in the Turks and Caicos Islands, we are at a crossroad. There are so many issues that are affecting our people. And Charlene, one of the main issues that is affecting our people, especially in Grand Turk. Tonight, let's spend a little time talking about some certain issues that are going on in Grand Turk. We have the water problem, we have the prison issue, we have the issue of a lot of our citizens in Grand Turk. We have an economic problem in Grand Turk. Can you touch on a little bit of some of these issues? The water situation there in Grand Turk.
Well, Sean, I've been living in Grand Turk for the last 6 years, and of course, it's now my home. I'm in the midst of all that is going on because I've gelled with the people of Grand Turk, and I feel they're hurt. I have been fortunate, however, with the shortage of water over the last few months to have never experienced it. Ironically, or I should say fortunately, when I was living in a particular part of the island, the other part of the island had water problems. But when I moved from that part, it was the part that I moved from experienced water. So we've had situations where persons haven't had a drop of water coming through their faucets for more than a week.
In the capital?
In the nation's capital. It isn't just the nation's capital, but in the year 2008. That's more than anything. We're talking of building a modern country, and you're having the basic necessity of water not flowing and people not being able to get clean water to do their daily chores or to even carry out whatever tasks they have. And as recent as last week, Wednesday, Thursday, I also lectured the college. The college had to be shut down because there was no water.
Or last week, Thursday?
Last week, Wednesday and Thursday, the college was shut down because there was no water. And if you would have read the latest issue, I think, of The Sun, Irvin Quelch, who is the chairman now of the National Insurance Board and a prominent businessman in Grand Turk, he spoke to the situation, and out of the article you can hear the frustration because the cruise port is also affected. And you're having ships saying that they're not going to call until the water situation is dealt with. So you have homes that are affected, you have businesses, you have the schools, and now you have the economy that we're trying to now diverse the economy with the cruise port, and you're now having it affected in the cruise port. And the truth is, this has been going on. I haven't had a chance to find out whether there's in fact spare parts. One time ago it was the pump, but this has been going on and off for months. Some days you have water and some days you don't. Where I live, I have very low pressure. And this is not, it isn't a free service, you're paying for it. And I think this is something that the government has to address. If something is wrong, deal with it. And it's as if we're over the Columbus Passage, and because we're not over this way, nobody is hearing us. And it's important that government understands that there are people living and walking and breathing in the nation's capital still. And we need to hear from them, and they need to fix this water problem.
Well, Charlene, this water, I know the water issue there in Grand Turk, we've been talking about it here on Let's Talk Politics for the last 7-8 months. I recall doing doing a number of shows on that issue in Grand Turk, and the premier of this country assured us that this situation was put to rest. The water issue was solved there in Grand Turk, and I believe when we talked about this about 7 months ago, the issue was that they needed a new pump system that was costing this country. I mean, it couldn't be no more than $20,000 to replace the pump, and I was quite surprised a few days ago to learn that Grand Turk was still experiencing these water issues, and when we look at the level of spending in this Turks and Caicos Islands, and the premier announced a few weeks ago at a press conference that he's about to spend $10 million on the Grand Prix or racetrack in the Turks and Caicos Islands, when our people are experiencing so much hardship. How do we solve this issue in Grand Turk?
How do we solve it? We get to the root of it. What is the problem? Is it spare parts? Is it a pump? If you're not functioning, there's a rumor, of course, that it's going to be privatized. And I believe if you're going to give somebody something, you get it up and running, yes. But you don't want to give them something to say, I've given you something, but it has to be something put in place to better the situation. So there are rumors that it may be a situation where they're sabotaging it to say that this is why it has to go private. But the bottom line is, government is responsible for the water, the provision of water. There's an RO plant, and until whatever decision is made to privatize it, we have to hold the government responsible. I don't care how much it costs. Water is vital, and we cannot do without it, and it needs to be solved.
Well, I mean, Charlene, I was in Grand Turk over the past weekend, and it seems that the people of Grand Turk are experiencing a number of hardships at this moment. And one of the issues that came up with the draining of our people being moved around into the other islands, especially here in Providenciales, is the rooting up of families. I mean, how is this going down amongst the people of Grand Turk, when you hear all of these government departments is now relocating to the island of Providenciales?
Well, Mr. Malcolm, I'm going to start at the very basic. Grand Turk is still officially the capital of the Turks and Caicos, albeit there's a systematic moving away from that. But the one thing about being the capital is that the island economy is primarily driven by government jobs.
Correct.
The public sector. There's little to no private sector in Grand Turk.
Right.
And I will dare to debate anyone as to the impact that the cruise ship industry has had on Grand Turk. We are aware, and we're living there. A couple of people are benefiting, but it has not done anything in terms of transformation, in terms of diversifying the economy to a point that you can feel its impact. We all go on cruises. We spend all our money on the ship. When we come into port, we really don't spend money. We walk around, and we find that that's what has been happening. Most of the jobs are seasonal. The ship comes. When the ship comes, that's when you work. A lot of people can't function like that. And even in Margaritaville, which is opened when the port is closed, they have Jamaican waiters and waitresses.